Throughout the God of War series, Kratos has defeated many of the gods and creatures. However, he has yet to face some gods that could easily bring him down. With the release of God of War Ragnarok, fans have been speculating where the franchise will head when the Norse story closes, as well as reflecting on Kratos' prior adventures. The titular God of War has ripped through ancient Greece, mowing down anyone and everyone in his path, only to find himself in the Norse realms with a whole new pantheon of gods to sink his teeth into. Given his notoriety, it's difficult to foresee anything or anybody challenging him. However, there are numerous mythological figures who have not been addressed in the games, and some of them would give even the mighty Kratos a run for his money. Who are they, you ask? Number 10. Seth. If and when the God of War enters Egyptian mythology, he is going to have a really hard time in case he decides to meddle with the Egyptian gods. One such god would be their god of war, Seth. Seth was the embodiment of dryness, and as lord of the desert and the drought, he was a sworn enemy of everything that bore life. He is infamous for betraying and dismembering his brother Osiris. Given that Osiris is one of the most powerful and prominent Egyptian gods, this is no minor achievement, and it reminds us that Seth has a reputation for a reason. He would have no problem destroying the infiltrating god of war. Number 9. Beowulf. The narrative of Beowulf, a Norse hero and well-known character from Scandinavian folklore, tells how the Geat warrior came to Denmark and slaughtered the fearsome Grendel with his bare hands. Because of his amazing strength, he survived the encounter without a scratch. He even tracked down and killed the creature's mother. He was crowned king of Geatland and praised for his ruthless actions before dying as a hero at the hands of an enraged dragon. But his immense strength and prowess in battle are reminiscent of the Greek Hercules, and it goes without saying he would put up no less of a fight against the god of war. Number 8. The Morrigan. In Irish Celtic mythology, the Morrigan was a great warrior queen goddess. She was similar to Kratos in many ways, like for inciting war, then stirring the anger and frenzy of combat, and lastly, as the bringer of death. The goddess could transform into whatever living thing she desired, and she helped bring about the demise of the hero warrior Wukong, after he spurned her many attempts to seduce him as a different animal. Her presence was thought to either inspire or scare those who would engage in combat, gaining her a reputation for changing the result of great battles. She could also shapeshift at will and served as a land protector. Kratos may have had no trouble eliminating his opponents in the past, but killing this one would be a difficult task, and her devious ways may lead to Kratos' untimely demise. Number 7. Typhon. It is very rare for a god to also be a monster, but that's exactly what Typhon was. He was the most feared monster in Kratos' ex-mythology, i.e. ancient Greece, and no other mythical creature, god, or monster was as powerful, dangerous, or deadly. Fans of the great series may recall Typhon from God of War 2, an imprisoned giant who tried and came close, but failed, to kill Kratos with only his icy breath. But the mythological figure is much more terrible, a great winged serpent who has been dubbed the father of monsters. He is frequently associated with fire, and legends tell of his epic fight with Zeus, in which the Olympian beat him and imprisoned him. This clearly inspired his depiction in the games, though it is safe to say that the great Leviathan of mythology would not go down so easy, and Kratos may not survive their encounter. Number 6. The Dagda. The Dagda was the foremost of the Irish ancestor gods, the Tuatha De Danann. He was not only the deity of life and death, but also of seasons, agriculture, fertility, magic, and druidry. He was highly skillful and clever beyond measure. He possessed 3 sacred treasures, a cauldron of plenty, a club of life and death, and a harp that could govern both men and seasons. His club can slaughter many men at once and bring the dead back to life if he sees fit. With his magical harp, he could also influence the emotions of mankind, and he had the capacity to change the weather and the passage of time. If Kratos ever decides to confront the Dagda, he'll need an army on his side, and even then, he'll be waging a losing war. Number 5. Shiva. The triumvirate in Hindu mythology is made up of 3 gods that are in charge of creation, upkeep, and annihilation of the world. Shiva is the third of the Hindu trinity responsible for pure destruction. Hindus believe that his abilities of destruction and recreation are used today to eliminate the world's illusions and imperfections, clearing the way for constructive change. This destruction, according to the Hindu religion, is not arbitrary but rather helpful. As a result, Shiva is seen as the source of both good and evil, and as the one who blends many contradictory elements. Shiva can create a rageful manifestation of himself from just one of a strand of hair called Kal Bhairav. This manifestation alone could take out Kratos easily, or he could just open up his third eye and turn him into ashes. Either way, Kratos dies. Number 4. Jesus. Christianity has just 3 gods, which are truly one God, the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit, all of whom exist as members of the Trinity. Both Kratos and Jesus have regenerative abilities in their own right. Kratos is more effective, as he can cure wounds in minutes, but Jesus is more powerful. As you may recall, he rose from the dead. However, that is not Jesus' sole special skill. Kratos' ability are mostly healing and strength, which are good for a warrior but not particularly creative. If Jesus can think outside the box, he'll win easily. He could throw an infinite number of loaves and fishes at him or turn his blood into wine or water. Kratos has always appeared as the vengeful underdog, but if he fights Jesus, he appears as a villain. Jesus is the heroic struggler who overcomes the obstacles, whereas Kratos is the lumbering thug who can only punch and heal. Number 3. Sun Wukong. Not sure whether you'll cover Chinese mythology, but if you do, leaving out the Monkey King would be a disgrace. Sun Wukong will most likely be the most powerful deity Kratos has faced up to this time. According to legend, the Monkey King can jump 13,468 miles in a single leap, defeat a celestial army of 10,000 by himself, remove his own name from the Book of Death, beat up 4 dragon kings and take their clothes, knows magic, and can pluck off his own hairs to create a temporary clone of himself. In addition to super strength and wielding an 8-ton staff for a weapon, Wukong would just eradicate Kratos. Number 2. Buddha. Buddha was the only one who defeated Sun Wukong, so he can easily defeat Kratos. Kratos would spend a century carving into Buddha only to discover he was only carving into a peach in Buddha's hand. He could try to attack the big Buddha, but the trick would just keep repeating until Kratos realized how boned he was. Or Buddha would simply turn Kratos into a monk by reacting to all his aggression with peace. Either way, the god of war loses his identity. And number 1. The devil. Satan is able to deceive the whole world using monsters, can bring down stars from the sky using its tail, has an army of angels, has monsters in his chain of command, can shoot rivers of water from his mouth at airborne opponents, rain fire from the sky, and kill a lot of sheep and servants at once. Would he be able to defeat Kratos? Yes, and without much effort. Now, as the list ends, hear us out. We know some of the candidates from this list might be an absurd consideration against Kratos from your point of view, but you can never say how actual mythological figures would fare against fictional ones, can you? Comment below with any thoughts you have on this video. We'll see you next time. Until then, stay mythically mad.